Howdy. It is about learning stuff from everywhere and then make conclusions about the things and continuing for the search for truth. So that's the screenshot, or that's actually the video from some time ago, a week or so, I don't know. This is Switzerland. And note how there is a yellow cloud just at the border. So this is about SO2 emissions. That's windy SO2 emissions. I have been making many videos about the thermal springs in Switzerland. Somewhere here, they are very mineral rich and very hot. And I have been wondering that no SO2 or whatsoever, since I think geothermal activity is a part of volcanic activity. It is a part of volcanic activity, so it is volcanic activity. And I have been wondering how is it possible that there is no SO2 or whatsoever, since we have sulfur springs and all these kind of things. And I probably have found something interesting. And I have been watching YouTube. You can learn stuff on YouTube. Top 3 ways to use gas for free. Not just have a quick look, I will scroll forward and stuff. Yeah, I will put a link below to that too. Now let's go forward a bit. When he starts to fill up these. So some plants, I don't know what they are. Chopping them, filling them up. Limestone powder. Very important. Well, limestone powder on top of the leaves. Rainwater. Okay, now let's go a bit forward. 24 hours later, and now it's 72 hours later or something. And the water is cooking. There is a flame and gas. So I went to check out a bit stuff and I found this volume. It's Geochimica et Cosmochimica Acta. Science Direct. Volume 41, issue 1, January 1977. That's even older than I am. Access through your institution or purchase the PDF. I repeat myself again, I've never bought any article and I am not a member of any institution. So I won't buy and I won't have access to that. What's left is the abstract. So let's just dive into that. Let's sulfur dioxide in geothermal waters and gases. Sulfur dioxide, SO2. Abstract. Methods were developed for stabilizing SO2 in water and gas samples. The pararosalinylene colorimetric method and the gas chromatographic method using a flame photometric detector specific for sulfur gases were used to assay SO2. Assays were also performed on sulfide, elemental, sulfur, and sulfate. A large number of acidic, neutral, and alkaline springs in Yellowstone National Park were sampled. SO2 was found in small amounts in most of them. The highest concentration detected in water was 0.5 to 0.6 microgram per milliliter, expressed in sulfur. Sulfur dioxide was never detected in gases emanating from hot springs. Sulfur dioxide was never detected in gases emanating from hot springs or in fumaroles. Never detected. Although H2S was readily detected because of the high solubility of SO2 in water and its low pK, whatever that means, it is unlikely that environmentally significant quantities are volatilized from geothermal systems of the low temperature type characteristic of Yellowstone Park. Never. No SO2. So, there was this dude just before who made gas which was burning. He used lime powder. Sulfur dioxide is never detected in gases emanating from hot springs or in fumaroles. And let me show you another paper. Rocks that crackle and sparkle and glow. Strange pre-earthquake phenomena. Article in Journal of Scientific Exploration, March 2003. Friedemann Freund, NASA. Department of Physics, San Jose State University, NASA Ames Research Center, Moffett Field. Abstract. Seismic waves are the most dramatic and most intensely studied manifestations of earthquakes. However, we also know of non-seismic phenomena which precede large earthquakes. Some of them have been reported for centuries, even millennia. The list is long and diverse: bulging of Earth's surface, changing well water levels, ground-hugging fog, low-frequency electromagnetic emission, earthquake lights from ridges and mountain tops, magnetic field anomalies up to 0.5 of Earth's dipole field, temperature anomalies by several degrees over wide areas as seen in satellite images, changes in the plasma density of the ionosphere, and strange animal behavior. Because it seems nearly impossible to imagine that such diverse phenomena could have common physical cause, there is a great confusion and even greater controversy. This explains why reports on non-seismic pre-earthquake phenomena are regarded with suspicion in the scientific community. This may change with the recent discovery that igneous and metamorphic rocks, which make up a major portion of Earth's crust, contain electric charge carriers, which have been overlooked in the past. These charge carriers are defect electrons in the valence band, i.e., positive holes. Under normal conditions, they are dormant, but when they wake up, the rocks begin to sparkle and glow. This paper describes the physical and chemical nature of these positive holes, how they are introduced into minerals and rocks, and how they become activated. Evidence will be presented that once the positive holes are generated, currents propagate through the rocks, leading to electromagnetic emissions. The positive surface potential, the corona discharges to positive ion emissions and to mid-infrared radiation. These phenomena are expressions of the same fundamental process, the awakening of dormant positive hole charge carriers that turn rocks momentarily into p-type semiconductors. Let me search for you this one part. For decades, the attention of many researchers who take an interest in pre-earthquake phenomena has indeed focused on the generation of electric currents in the Earth's crust. Of all processes that have been discussed, two candidates have emerged with a physically well understood mechanism of charge generation and separation. These are piezoelectricity and streaming potentials. Piezoelectricity describes a fundamental property of certain crystals that belong to non-centrosymmetric symmetry classes. Of all naturally occurring rock-forming minerals, only quartz falls into this category. Quartz crystals, when squeezed in certain crystallographic directions, they generate voltages on opposite surfaces due to minute displacements of their ions relative to each other along a polar axis. Within the validity of Hooke's law, i.e., within the range of elastic response, the voltages are proportional to the applied stress. When the stresses are high, the voltages generated can be large enough to draw sparks. This finds application in household appliances, for instance, the ignition of gas-burning stoves, as we just saw. Conversely, if voltages are applied to quartz plates cut along certain crystallographic directions via electrodes deposited on opposite faces, the crystals change their dimension. They become thinner or thicker depending upon the polarity of the applied electric field. This finds application in electronic devices such as quartz clocks, where the frequency of the applied electric field is tuned to the thickness of the quartz plates so that the quartz crystals go into resonant oscillations. In rocks such as granites, which contain a high percentage of quartz, the application of stress will of course lead to piezoelectric voltages on each individual quartz crystal. If the crystals are randomly oriented, which they normally are in batholithic rocks, the local piezoelectric voltages will cancel so that non-long-range electricity field is generated. So, there are those many hot springs all over the world, and also other mineral springs and just springs. They will emit some gases, and I have to still figure out what kind of gas this man was creating with this limestone powder, the plants and the water. I don't know, I'm not a chemist or whatever. I have to figure it out still, what gas. But SO2 can be ruled out because obviously it just doesn't occur in geothermal springs. But nonetheless, there is, for example, let's take Switzerland with the limestone mountains, the Jura Massif and all these kind of things. There is limestone in abundance. There is water in abundance. There are many other minerals in abundance. So we have to assume that there is also certain gases in abundance. And also there is much quartz there in Switzerland. So I just think it is totally possible that there would be gas emitting somewhere, there would be some earthquake or whatever happening, and it would make a spark, and these gases would ignite. And I think it's totally scalable. There might be bigger flames than just this one in a stove we just saw. So if we go to Google, no, not Google, Windy, and check out the SO2 emissions from Switzerland. Let's go back to my video, in which I was wondering how is it possible that there is no SO2 in Switzerland. I still don't know why there isn't any. Probably there isn't any. I don't know. But I have a certain suspicion towards this kind of applications and stuff, because I have seen many odd things there. But anyway, even though we don't have any SO2 emerging here from Switzerland, approximately from that area where we have many thermal springs, the hottest and so on in Switzerland, doesn't mean that there isn't any other gases. So we probably should have to take more than just SO2 into account when talking about volcanic activity. Because I still think geothermal activity is volcanic activity. It's just a different kind of volcanic activity. And quartz is everywhere. Water is everywhere. And in many, many places, we have also limestone, wide rivers, which could create such chemical reactions. And all chemical reactions are electromagnetic in nature, which could create those gases. And if this man from the video just put some plants there, there's biomass available almost all over the place. Trees falling somewhere or whatever. Which I find really, really interesting. So probably there should be also an application which detects these other gases which emerge from geothermal activity places, since SO2 doesn't seem to emit from there. But let me say it again. To me, geothermal activity, which includes also cold water springs, because we have to take the whole spectrum into account when talking about geothermal activity, like really hot and cold. Like, I don't know how cold the water can be which emerges from the ground. Little above, it has to be above zero, I guess. Probably it could be also below zero. It depends on the chemical composition of the water. And this is something very interesting. So there is someone creating gas with water, biomass, and lime powder. And the gas is burning when you ignite it. And he ignites it with piezoelectric electricity, hence quartz. So maybe we really have to keep an eye on those geothermal springs, and the detection of whatever gases emitting from there should be probably monitored in a different way than just SO2, especially in places with those geothermal activities. So now, since we just look at SO2 emissions here on Windy, we don't see the other things, the other gases which are emerging, which probably are fluctuating too, which probably could be dangerous, because obviously they can ignite. But anyway, I tried to make it somehow as easy as possible, but I don't know if anyone got what I mean. I will put links down below to my video, to this other man's video, to the articles. And don't believe me, read up for yourself if you're interested to. Make up your own conclusions. I just think it's very important to understand that just looking at SO2 doesn't tell the whole story. The whole part of geothermal activity isn't included in SO2. It's just not visible. So I wonder how this map would look if these other gases or gas would be included in order to get a better picture of the whole volcanic activity, for example, in Europe. Maybe it would wake up some people because it would look completely different. For example, Switzerland, Italy, Austria, France, and Greece, and wherever we have those geothermal activity places. But anyway, I leave it here. I got to do some stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you make some own research or just read the stuff I put down below. And if you find some constraints or whatever which doesn't match up, put a comment down below. Tell me, hey, you forgot this, or that's wrong, or this, or whatever. Would be really nice. But anyway, I leave it here. Thanks.